If you're looking to learn exactly what sales prospecting is, how it works, and whether or not it's something you should be interested in, stick around because we're gonna get all your questions answered in this video. What's going on, everybody? It's Patrick Dang here. Before we get started, go ahead and give this video a like, subscribe, and let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, the definition of sales prospecting that we're gonna use for this video is when a sales or business development person reaches out to a potential customer in hopes to start a selling conversation. So let's go ahead and break this down even further, right? So there might be a company on one side and maybe nobody knows who they are, what they do, what products and services they offer. Now, how is this company going to generate sales? How are they going to get their products and services in the hands of their customers if nobody knows who they are? And this is why sales prospecting is going to be so important. That's when either a sales or business development rep, or even the CEO could be doing this, working at this company, reaches out to a potential customer who may not know who they are in hopes to start some type of conversation. And how they might do this is they might send a cold email, maybe do a cold call, a LinkedIn message, or any of a combination of the three. Additionally, some other alternatives for prospecting cold might be using Facebook, sending them direct messages on Facebook and adding them as a friend, right? Sending an Instagram DM or sending them a message on Twitter, right? So basically, they're all different type of forms of doing outbound sales prospecting, but you just gotta find the one that works best for your specific industry. For some people, it might be cold email. For others, it might be cold calling. And for other people, it might be a combination of many different outreach methods. And the whole goal of all this activity is really just to generate a meeting, right? That's what sales prospecting is all about. All you're trying to do when you're reaching out to somebody is you're not trying to sell them on the first message or on the first call. All you're doing is you're asking them, if they're interested in moving forward and learning more about your products and services. Only when they agree to some type of meeting, usually it's a 15 or 30-minute meeting to have that initial conversation, that's pretty much all you're trying to do when you're doing sales prospecting. You're not trying to sell anything, you're not trying to be pushy or sleazy, you're just asking for a conversation to get to know each other a little bit more to see if they're even qualified to buy your products and services. Now, to further explain this, let's go ahead and give you an example. Now, there's this company called Morning Brew, and essentially how I see it is like a Wall Street Journal for the millennial audience, right? A younger audience who wants to be caught up with the news and the business world and investing and tech and all these different subjects, right? They got a website, like a blog, where you can read their different articles, and they also, I think their main product is actually their newsletter, right? So it's like a newsletter business where you subscribe, you give your email, and then every day they're gonna give you news on what's going on in the world. Now, I believe they have millions of readers on their email list already, so they're quite, a significant company. And from what I understand, how they make their money is from advertising, okay? So, when they're sending you these emails, newsletter, they're gonna give you, some of the top news that you need to know for the day. And then they're gonna slip in, an article or two about a sponsored post where someone pays for an advertising slot to talk about their brand and their story. And if people like the brand, they're gonna click on the link and then they can buy the product and service and learn more. Now, for a company like Morning Brew, right? Obviously they're gonna have some inbound leads, meaning, companies know who they are. They're gonna say, hey, can we advertise on your platform? And that's how they make some of their revenue. Now, not everybody may know who they are, so they're gonna have to reach out to other people and try to get sponsorships, right? For example, they might want to work with some big heavy hitters like maybe a Microsoft or Salesforce or maybe Nike, right? They might want to reach out to these big companies and see if they want to advertise on their email newsletter. So if I was working at Morning Brew and I was doing sales and business development, right? And I believe they have an entire outbound team to do this kind of work, I would be making a list of my dream customers. Who do I want to advertise on my platform, right? Who would I love to work with? And I would, build my dream list and prioritize them based on, people that I really want to work with, people I believe have budget to spend money on this type of advertising, and I would build my list that way. From there, after I build a list of maybe starting with 20 people, but I build it up to 50, 100, and then, a few hundred eventually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna find the decision makers who run advertising at these companies. I'm gonna reach out to them to the preferred method, whether it's cold email or cold call, whatever it is, right, depending on the industry. And then I'm gonna see if they're interested in having a meeting with me to learn about the benefits of advertising on Morning Brew versus any other platform like Facebook, Google, or any other newsletter. Why is Morning morning brew so special? Why is my audience so special, and why you need to advertise on it right now, right? And as I reach out to different companies, a lot of people will probably say no. They're gonna be like, no, we're good. We're advertising over here. We don't have more budget to spend. Other people might be like, oh, interesting. I'm actually looking for another alternative to spend my advertising dollars, right? And so that, for those kind of people, it actually makes sense to have some type of conversation to see if, them advertising on Morning Brew as a platform might make a lot of sense. So the people that say yes, great, you generated sales, they're gonna advertise on your platform. The people that say no, essentially you're just gonna ask them, okay, well, when would be a better time? What would you need to see before you would advertise on a platform like ours? And then from there, they'll tell you like, oh, maybe hit me back up in 3 months from now and we'll see, or they give some kind of objection, or maybe the timing's not right, the budget's not right, whatever it is, right? So you just nurture that lead, keep in contact with them once in a while, and then one day, the day will come when they're ready to advertise. And why sales prospecting, especially outbound sales prospecting like this, is gonna be so valuable, no matter what company you're working at, is that, you might have a great product and service, but if nobody knows about it and they don't know who you are, well, how are you gonna generate any sales, right? You can't generate sales if people don't know who you are. So you have to basically start a conversation, even if they don't know you, right? You have to start it cold, build that relationship, and then eventually, if they are qualified and they want to buy, then you can actually sell them your products and services. And this is extremely powerful, because if you got something great, like a great product and service that you wanna sell, you can basically just reach out to anybody you would like to work with, and then there's a probability, there's a chance that they might actually take your meeting and they might actually do business with you. And that's without any connections, without any real brand. It's just doing outbound prospecting and getting that person on the phone and having a conversation with them. Now that you understand, what sales prospecting is, what is the day-to-day life as a sales prospector, right? And a lot of times sales prospectors might be, called a role as a SDR, sales development rep, BDR, business development rep, or it can even be an account executive, someone who closes deals that has to generate their own leads, right? So essentially, when you're doing this type of work, this is how it's generally gonna work. When you start out, you may not have a database of people you can contact. So the first step of sales prospecting is to build your list. A lot of times people will spend a good amount of time doing this, and you're always actively finding new people, right? So you might add, hundreds or even thousands of people into a CRM, which is basically just a software to handle all your customers. And you might have multiple people adding a bunch of people into the CRM and just filling it up with potential customers you can reach out to. Once you have a list of people you can reach out to, then you're gonna start doing some type of outreach, whether it's cold email, cold call, LinkedIn, whatever it is, right? And every time you reach out to somebody, you're gonna log it into your CRM to make sure everybody knows that, hey, I'm contacting this guy. Nobody bother him, because we only need one salesperson talking to this person, right? And the process is basically find the people and reach out. Find the people, reach out, and basically it's a cycle that keeps on going. And of course, as you do any type of outreach, you're gonna want to, automate some of the processes. For example, you might be using a cold email software to, automatically schedule out the cold email so you don't have to do it manually on Gmail, right? And you're always gonna wanna A/B test and try different stuff. So if you are, let's say, sending cold emails, for example, you're gonna wanna test different subject lines, different bodies, different call to actions, different way you're pitching your product and service to see what's most effective in your industry when it comes to booking that meeting. Or if you're doing any type of cold calling, you wanna test different scripts, right? You might try a different line when you pick up the phone and you introduce yourself. There's many different things that you can test out to see what works in your industry, but you're always testing, you're always improving. So the process is like this. You build a list, you do some kind of outreach, you test different stuff, you analyze what works and you analyze what doesn't in terms of what actually generates meetings. Then you go back to the beginning and you say, okay, now that I understand a little bit what works, maybe I need to switch up my list a little bit. Maybe I need to go for these type of customers and avoid this type of customer, right? And then you start repeating the cycle over and over, and that's how you generate an abundance of leads. And again, the whole goal of sales prospecting is to generate meetings. That's it. You're just generating a meeting to start a sales conversation so that either you will either take the call and you qualify the person and you move them down the buying cycle, or you're booking the meeting for a closer, an account executive, whose job is then, you pass it to them and they do the rest of the work, right? So sometimes when you're doing sales prospecting, your entire job and how you get paid commissions might be just to generate meetings, and that's how you're measured. Other times you have to close and do sales prospecting, that's okay too. So you gotta generate the meeting and you gotta close. But regardless, the beginning is the same. You have to generate those meetings. And if you don't generate those meetings, you literally do not have an opportunity to sell anything. It doesn't even matter if you're the greatest seller in the world. If you got no meeting set up, nobody knows who you are, you can't sell anything. And so with that said, that's gonna be sales prospecting in a nutshell. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And if you wanna learn more about how to start, accelerate your sales career, and learn how to sell anything to anyone, I actually got a free training link in the description. Make sure to check that out. With that said, my name is Patrick Dang, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next one.